5 is on its way tonight. Because of that, NOAA did issue a geomagnetic storm watch for the planet Earth. This is due to a G4 class solar storm, which is severe on the scale. Now, some of the effects that we might see from this tonight are possible voltage issues to the power grid up north. Disruptions are possible to satellite navigation as well, and auroras could be possible all the way down to the Gulf Coast tonight, especially on the horizon. If you want to have a good shot at seeing this, you are going to have to get out of areas of light pollution and also use a camera as well to see it best on the horizon. Now, if you really...
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, man, and if you guys don't know what we do, we break down scary and creepy videos on the net, on the web, man, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank you guys, man, who's been tapping into the channel, supporting. I've been seeing you guys' feedback, man. On the last video, you guys said you could kind of hear my chair squeaking. So as you guys can see, I replaced it, got a new chair, so no more of that squeaking noises, man. Found this video for you guys today, seekers. Let's do what we do best. Seek the truth.
His brother, along with Tiffany, didn't find out the truth for 15 years.
Those photos telling the truth.
Crawler. It was taken by a family who caught him in their home in 1974, but he escaped shortly afterwards.
What?
So in 1974, the Johnson family in Cincinnati noticed a couple weird things happening in their home. The 14-year-old daughter, Claire, would complain about seeing glowing eyes outside of her window at night. And then one night, the youngest son, Timmy, was laying in bed in the dark when he felt the family dog jump up onto his bed. But when he went to go pet it, it was not the dog. It was the Crawler, who police still believe was responsible for the disappearance of 4 other boys in the area. Some believe that he was an escaped convict, while others actually believe that he was the victim of human experiments happening in the area that may have been conducted by the family's dad. Claire snapped this photo of him before he escaped, but he was never found since.
It sure looks like a human experiment. That's for sure. What do you guys think?
Nan's the man guilty of killing 8 people. 7 of those people were her family members, and 1 was a random stranger just minding his own business. For a total of 8 people dead in 3 separate locations.
3?
This happened in Joliet, Illinois. They thought all of these shootings were random at first, but one common thing was his red Toyota Camry with the same license plate at every single scene of the crime.
Targeted?
On Monday, officers announced that a manhunt was launched for Romeo Nance. They also put out a warning that he is armed and dangerous. However, later that night, the news definitely changed when they found this information out. Nance was spotted in Texas, over 1,200 miles away from Illinois. He died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was also charged with aggravated discharge of a deadly weapon against a woman a few years ago also. But he got out on bond in 2023. Many residents in the area were frightened by this. They all also thought this was a random string of crimes as well. Very unfortunate story. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. To kill 8 people, mainly family members, is just absurd. Very unfortunate loss of life. And reminder, these videos are for informational purposes only.
Blood-curdling facts
What was
that
the
you wish
purpose?
you never knew. Part 22. In the 18th century, you could bring your cat or dog to the London Zoo and actually pay your admission by feeding it to the lions.
What?
Bus seats are specifically designed so you can't tell how dirty they really are. When an octopus reproduces, it removes its penis and throws it at the female so she can impregnate herself, and then he grows back another one. Oysters are actually alive when they're served. They don't die until you eat them. In Australia, there's a plant called the gimbi gimbi, which has such a severe sting that when horses brush up against it, they actually throw themselves off a cliff because they would rather die than experience the pain. Live chat support agents can see what you type before they send it so they can reply quicker.
What the?
Spider rain, yes, you heard me right, is a real and naturally occurring phenomenon.
What creeped you out the most? What's up there? What the fuck?
about one of the
We saw that, right? We all saw that, Seekers. There's something that flashed, but they ain't see. You always gotta double check your work, man.
worst accidents that ever happened on a horror film set, because I don't really see this moment talked about much. So this accident happened on the set of The Exorcist, which is already a movie that plenty of people think was cursed, hence why I did a whole episode about it. But in the movie, Linda Blair plays this little girl named Reagan who was possessed by a demon. And the way that the film shows you that she's possessed are by these contraptions that they built for her. This is one that makes her levitate, but there was also this one that made her thrash around. To use this device, Linda had to be sewn into a plank, that way her back was supported while it was thrashing around. And mind you, the people controlling this device were adult men, and Linda was a child. So during one take, Linda actually became untethered from this device, meaning that her back was no longer supported. And you can see it in this take, but watch as she starts crying after the director calls cut. That's because Linda had just broken her spine. The director and the other adults in the room all thought that she was acting up a storm when in fact her screams and cries were from her spine being fractured. Anyways, that's only one of the many wild things that happened on this set, so check out the episode for more.
That's some bad energy on that movie.
His father. This is 6-year-old Corey Micholo from New Jersey. On March 20th of 2021, Corey and his father, Christopher Greger, were seen entering the Atlantic Heights Clubhouse Fitness Center. Corey was placed on a treadmill and began running. Footage from the clubhouse captured Christopher walking up to the treadmill, increasing the speed and raising the incline.
Why?
These sudden changes were too much for Corey's legs, which caused him to fall down multiple times and slide off of the treadmill. Christopher is then seen lifting Corey up from the ground and tossing him back onto the treadmill. This caused Corey's legs to fold backwards, and then Christopher is seen clamping his teeth onto Corey's head. On April 1st, after Corey had so many bruises on his body, his mom urged his father to take him to a pediatric appointment, and at this appointment, Corey revealed that his father made him get on that treadmill because he was too fat. The next day, after Corey woke up from a nap, he felt nauseated, he was slurring his words, and he was stumbling. That is when Christopher took Corey to the hospital. Corey's injuries were so severe he had suffered a seizure during his CT scan. That day, just before 5 p.m., Corey was pronounced dead. An autopsy was done and it revealed that the reason why Corey had died was because of blunt force injuries. This included acute inflammation and sepsis. Christopher was initially charged with child neglect after the treadmill video came to light. However, in September of 2021, a forensic pathologist had determined that Corey's death was a homicide. This was due to chronic child abuse, blunt force injuries to his chest and abdomen, and a laceration to his heart. On March 9, 2022, Christopher was arrested on murder charges connected to Corey's death. He turned down a 30-year plea deal and now faces life in prison if convicted.
Here are a few of the worst submechanophobia images I've ever seen. Part 3. This is apparently real. I don't know where it is. Apparently it's in Italy, or it looks like it's in Italy. I might be completely making that up. But here's it from another angle. Could you imagine swimming in a boat and seeing that? I don't know how deep it is underwater. I don't know if it's held up by pipes. I don't know if it's held up by scaffolding. I don't know if it's just the whole arm. I don't know if it's a whole sculpture. Terrifying.
It is. I don't know how deep in water that is, like what she said. Just seeing hands out of nowhere, that would freak anybody out.
This very strange video is circling the internet of what's supposed to be this very strange phenomena happening in the middle of the ocean. A couple of people inside of a boat captured it on camera. I'm going to show you guys the entire video.
Okay.
Some people are relating this to underwater volcanoes, but I'm not exactly sure if this is the case. I'm going to show you guys the video. You tell me what you think is going on here. Check this out.
What we seeing? What the hell is that?
Pay attention. Look at the size of this thing.
That's what we're examining. Is that really an underwater volcano? It's just sprouting up? Why this ain't making national news or something?
Look at this over here.
That's concerning.
What's going on here, guys? What is your take?
What do you guys think? down below.
Let's talk about this picture. This is why if I ever have kids, I'll never let them use the bathroom alone. A 7-year-old girl and her mom were headed to Target, and she was getting some clothes for school.
Okay.
Her mom also wanted to grab some snacks for movie night. So while her mom went to go grab popcorn and other snacks, she told her daughter to go pick out clothes for school. When her daughter finally finished and picked out the clothes, she went up to her mom and said something strange happened. A sad pale lady had came up to her, telling her that she wished she could have her own daughter that looked just like her. The mom, who thought the daughter was just joking around, laughed it off and said, "Let's go." While heading to the register, the daughter shook her mom and said, "That's the lady who told me she wanted a daughter just like me," pointing at a mannequin. The mom laughed, thinking the daughter was still being silly. You know how kids have wild imaginations, always playing around. While at the register, the daughter had to go to the bathroom. So the mom told her to hurry up. It was only a couple hours down, by the way. While in the bathroom, the daughter texted the mom saying the pale lady's in here who wanted a daughter. The mom, trying to get in a rush back home to her other kids, said, "Hurry up, we have to go. Stop playing around." 10 minutes later, and the daughter never came out. The mother, who was waiting outside the bathroom at this time, rushes in the bathroom to see what the heck is going on. The daughter was nowhere to be found. She even checked the stalls to see if her daughter was hiding, standing on a toilet or something. On one of the stalls, she found her daughter's cell phone on the floor. By the way, if you made it this far in the video, comment down below your favorite fruit. Mine is mangoes. When she checked her phone, this was the last image found in it. Police still to this day have no explanation on what happened to that little girl.
Did you guys know that
The hell
mermaids
happened?
exist? So this tall drink of water is a fisherman off the coast of Massachusetts. And on his travels, he likes to document the things that he sees out in the ocean.
Alright.
What he catches this night is irrefutable evidence of the existence of mermaids. Okay, I'm just kidding. It's not irrefutable evidence. It's just very strong evidence of the existence of mermaids. Check it out.
It's keeping up a mind.
We got another one over here. What are those?
Oh, we definitely see something swimming alongside him in the water.
What the fuck's going on?
Whoa.
On each side of the boat? What are those trails? What's something swimming fast underneath that water? Something swimming real fast underneath that water. I hear him. Where's he at? What the fuck is that noise, bro?
Is that the siren song they sing?
What is that noise? Where are you? This is crazy. I heard it. I heard it.
We hear that.
Oh my god. That's crazy. That's
Jump?
Here's some of the greatest conspiracy theories of all time. Part 4. The Grinch has a well-known backstory about hating Christmas. However, eventually in the movie, his heart grows 3 sizes and he loves Christmas once again. But this story may continue longer than we think. It is clear that the Grinch isn't exactly right in the head, but during one of the Grinch's wacky stunts, he could have gotten a head injury. This injury would later take a toll on him as he grew old and caused him to lose his memory. After him and his dog died, they were given a new life in a realm called Halloween Town, where they now lived as Jack Skellington and Zero. He later reunites with his love for Christmas, just like he had when he was alive. Both eventually wear a Santa suit, both deliver presents, and both have a dog companion. It may be possible that How the Grinch Stole Christmas and The Nightmare Before Christmas are tied together.
Are they connected? I never even thought about it like that before. Interesting theory. We're definitely going to have to check that out, man. They have some similarities. Can't lie. That's an edit. Call it like I said.
This pastor is being accused of unaliving his own wife.
This case is currently ongoing, but it's been so highly suggested, so this is what we know so far. On April 28th, Pastor John Paul Miller made the shocking announcement at the end of his church service that his wife, Micah, had unalived herself. He then asked everyone to leave quietly and not discuss his wife's death. Micah's family and friends do not believe this cause of death and have taken to social media with the hashtag Justice for Micah. John Paul also wrote Micah's obituary, where he talked mostly about himself, not even Micah, who was the one that passed away.
Very
he
weird.
also painted their marriage as like a perfect relationship, which is really odd considering that Micah filed for divorce and a restraining order against her husband only days before her passing. In the weeks prior to Micah's passing, she was sharing on Facebook about abusive relationships and really just hinting that something wasn't right. A friend of Micah's has come out and confirmed that Micah told her that there was abuse in the marriage, and also that church funds were being used for things not church related. And since, more friends and family of Micah have come out with similar accounts. Also been some speculation that John Paul was having an affair, a years-long affair, with this woman that he's been seen in the days before and the days after Micah's death. That woman's husband also passed away in a really suspicious way, but that's just online speculation for right now. The investigation is currently ongoing, so hopefully we have answers really soon. But in the meantime, make sure to leave all your thoughts, theories, questions, and case suggestions in the comments for me.
She went on Instagram Live and did something so evil that by the end of it, he took his own life. This is the worst thing an influencer has ever done, and I'm giving you the whole story. Hang on. 100,000 people tuned in to watch trans beauty influencer Sophia Talouni go live. Then she invited one of her fans to join and asked if he was gay. And in Morocco, being gay is very dangerous. He said no. Then she showed screenshots of him on Grindr, a dating app for gay men. She said if he doesn't recognize himself, she would show more revealing pictures. So he said he was gay and quit the live. Then she told everyone on the live to download Grindr and look for their sons and husband. And men began disappearing. They were beaten up by their families, and at least 2 people, including this young man, took their own life. But isn't Sophia trans? Her family rejected her, and she wants others to experience it too. Instagram deleted her account, but she was never punished in any other way.
That's a messed up story.
Imagine living with a dead body for 5 months. It was March 2011 in Penwortham in Lancashire. Police received a very strange anonymous tip-off which led them to a local house in the area. There they discovered 54-year-old former lorry driver Guy Blackburn lying deceased in a bed. The man was taken away from the property to undergo a post-mortem. It was clear, however, that he'd been dead for a very long period of time. Now, Guy had been living at the property for a long time, but his health had recently been worsening. He became so unwell that he was unable to leave the property at all. Neighbours got worried about Guy after they hadn't seen him in a few months. Guy was living with his son, 28-year-old Christopher. Now, Christopher was actually a dad to a 10-year-old daughter of his own. Christopher had told his daughter that her granddad was simply asleep. Neighbours would ask Christopher how his dad was, to which he replied, yeah, he's fine. However, they began to get suspicious. The post-mortem came back and confirmed that Guy had actually passed away due to heavy drinking and heavy smoking.
What the
He'd been deceased since around November 2010. Christopher admitted to living in the house with his dad's dead body. He said he did this in order to claim benefits. He claimed income support and was withdrawing money out of his dead dad's bank account. By the time he was caught, he had claimed nearly £2,000. He admitted to preventing the lawful burial of his dad and stealing money, and he was jailed for 3 years.
Why aren't more people
just
talking
for money,
about
man.
the huge updates
Evil.
in the Laken Riley case, y'all? Check this out. Clark County Sheriff's Office released the mugshot of this guy, Jose Antonio Ibarra. He's a 26-year-old guy that's being held on charges in the red rum of this girl right here, 22-year-old Laken Riley. And in case you don't know, she was a nursing student in Georgia, and her body was actually discovered in like a forested area behind Lake Herrick. One of the craziest parts about this case too is that there appears to be no motive. And Jose here apparently didn't even know Laken at all, which is really scary because investigators are saying that it looks like it was just a crime of opportunity. And it doesn't stop there. Apparently Jose isn't a U.S. citizen, and he never even attended the University of Georgia. And if you thought I was done there, you'd still be mistaken, because apparently his brother here, Diego, was arrested for having a fake green card. Diego here says he is too afraid to return to Venezuela, so the Department of Justice is actually keeping him in state custody, and he's awaiting an asylum hearing. Y'all, this case is crazy as hell. Leave a like, follow if you like true crime, and leave some comments. Y'all, let me know what you think about this one. I'll catch you guys on the next one.
Some twists and turns, man.
What are you doing? Dad? Dad? What are you doing?
So just like the caption says, that girl gets locked in the basement by her father. That father does so many sick and twisted things to his daughter that you would never believe that this was actually based on a true story.
Come again?
That movie is called A Girl in the Basement, and it's available right now at mylifetime.com/watchscript, so go ahead and watch it. It's so disturbing, but it's such a great movie that you need to watch it. Thank you, Lifetime, for sponsoring this video.
You guys gonna check that out? Those crime movies, man. All this media and stuff we're watching that based on true stories. We just gotta open our eyes to it and pay attention.
This woman laid on a couch for 12 years until she was basically melted to it. So have you ever heard of Lacey Fletcher? Lacey's parents were Sheila and Clay Fletcher. They moved to Slaughter, Louisiana about 28 years ago. As soon as they moved to Louisiana, Lacey became involved in her school. She was making friends with all the neighbor kids. She liked to go outside and play. She even joined the volleyball team and seemed like the typical teenager.
Okay.
Lacey was described by her peers as highly intelligent but a little bit immature for her age. Lacey really enjoyed things that her peers thought of as childish. But she was still very smart and very outgoing, but not much else is known about Lacey. At the age of 14, Lacey's parents decided to homeschool her, and that's when she just kind of disappeared from the public. Her friends from school and the neighbor kids just stopped seeing her come out as much as she used to. And it kind of seemed like Sheila and Clay were the reason that Lacey was being so isolated. They were the reason that she no longer went out into public. She was able to have a birthday party when she turned 18 years old, and she invited all of her school friends and just friends to come watch Disney movies, but at this point, these kids were 18 years old. They didn't want to sit around and watch Disney movies with her. The last time Lacey was seen in public was by her neighbor in 2007.
Damn.
This neighbor thought that Lacey looked very thin, but he just figured that she was exercising because she was using those weights that you can put around your ankles to walk around. And then Lacey is not ever seen again in public. In 2017, the neighbor did ask about Lacey, figuring that she had either gotten married or moved on, gone to college, or done something else with her life. But Clay told him that Lacey was still there. She was still at home. But the neighbor didn't press further. He didn't question why he didn't see her. He just kind of let things be.
Okay.
Then on January 3rd of 2022 at about 2 in the morning, there is a 911 call received from Sheila. Sheila says that her daughter has stopped breathing. When emergency services arrived, they realized that there was something very wrong with the situation. Lacey was laying on the couch and it almost seemed like she had melted to it. She had all kinds of sores that had been opened all the way down to the bone. Her hair was knotted up and there were maggots crawling around in it. And emergency services could tell that Lacey had been laying there for a very, very long time. There were feces and there was urine all over the couch.
Things humans were never meant to see.
The hell are they doing to her, man?
Man transforms into real werewolf.
We believe in werewolves, or is this just gonna be a edit? Go. I think this would be all over the internet, or if we've seen a real werewolf. If this turns out to be legit. Okay, we know this is Etta, right? Every single time he changes, it's like we can't see his face though. That's a high freaking quality edit. His name is Josh Rushling. Yeah, that's an edit.
As you can see, less than 2 minutes after moonrise, full transformation is achieved.
No, it ain't.
No human responses were elicited from the subject. However, he remained mostly calm throughout the night, growling only when approached. He seemed more afraid of us than we were of him.
This is Funky Town, one of the worst cartel execution videos explained. Okay, before I begin, this is a massive trigger warning. The video begins in some sort of room and there is music playing. The first song that plays is Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses, and the camera pans to the victim tied on the floor with some plastic wire, but the torture already began before the video starts. Because the victim looks like he already went through complete brutality. His hands have already been cut off and his face has been completely flayed, which means skinned. There is no skin on the victim's face at all, and his eyes have been gouged out. And there's an insane amount of blood on the floor. But the most messed up part is about this is that the victim is hooked up to some sort of IV, and the IV is pumping him with drugs to keep him alive and aware, making sure he felt everything happening to him. At the start of the video, they try and slit his throat with a sickle and press it against his jaw. But when the victim begins to scream, they shove a box cutter in his mouth to shut him up. His screams are absolutely gut-turning. They kept going from screaming to gurgling, from screaming to gurgling. And as the video progresses, they take the box cutter and slit his throat about 40 times. And keep in mind, the victim is still alive and aware of everything because of the drugs they are giving him to keep him alive. Also, the killers are mocking and laughing at the victim the entire time. They continue to try and slit his throat with the box cutter and were going at his neck numerous times, all while the song Funky Town was playing in the background, hence the name of the video. The killers kept having to physically restrain the victim, meaning there was still a lot of life left in him, and the amount of pain he had to be in is completely unimaginable. At one point in the video, a man had his foot on his chest, holding him down, and another time they had shoved a pole in his mouth, holding him in place. But the worst part about the video is towards the end, where the victim manages to loosen his arms from the restraints and immediately tries to touch his face. But remember, the victim has no face at all, no hands, and no eyes. But instinctively, the victim still tries to touch his face. It's absolutely horrifying, and the video then concludes. Keep in mind, the victim was still alive when the video ended, so who knows what else they did to him before he died. Because they were literally keeping him alive just to torture him. This victim went through so much pain and torment, and you can make an argument that nobody has ever been tortured as bad as this guy ever. I explain this based off pure memory from the first time I saw the video, because I won't dare watch it again because it's that gruesome. Everybody who saw videos like this always say Funky Town is the worst of the worst. And I honestly think that might be true, so please don't watch it and please don't search it up.
Crazy video, man. That Funky Town video he's talking about, saying he only watched it once because he wouldn't dare watch it again. And that's all he said. That was off of pure memory, seekers. How much it was freaking embedded into his mind. You had to take his word for it. It's crazy. You guys, that's it, man, for this video for you guys today, man. If you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker, seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, make sure to follow me on all my social medias, man, so we can stay connected. We could grow the seekers, grow these communities together. So links are in the description down below. Make sure you guys check it out. We're grinding, man. We're going to be uploading every single day, man. That's what I've been doing, and I plan to continue to do just that. You guys going to catch in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, seekers. What's up, Seekers? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing alright, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos on the net, on the web, man. From YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, man. Anything weird, usual, and unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. As you guys can see, man, we're going to be checking out some creepy TikTok videos for you guys today, man. Doing what we do best. Let's seek the truth.
So are we about to witness and hopefully live through a world-ending geomagnetic storm? And will it be a repeat of the Carrington event? Welcome back to the Hard Pill Show. I'm your host, Pharaoh, and in this video, we're going to talk about how this current geomagnetic storm could have bad implications.
Alright.
Now let me start out that this will most likely just be a loss of phone signal and pretty lights in the sky event. But let's get into why this can be something scary. So yesterday, Thursday the 9th, and today, Friday the 10th, there have been many corona mass ejections from the sun. NOAA released a statement and a warning stating at least 2 X-class, which are the largest solar flares, were observed releasing from 2 massive sunspots in the sun, along with several M-class. Now, these are CMEs, or corona mass ejections, and there was another X-class release this morning, Friday the 10th. That CME from this morning is supposed to catch up with the other 5 from yesterday, right as they impact Earth. It's all scary stuff, and what has people up in arms and concerned about this is the last time something like this happened, the Carrington event occurred. The Carrington event was known as the most destructive CME, and it happened on September 1st, 1859. It was so intense that it created such bright auroras in the sky, you know, the northern lights, that some gold miners in the Rockies woke up thinking that it was morning. But the reason why this event was documented and is such a callback point to future destructive potential of the sun is the fact that the potential EMP that was created by the sun during this event fried all the telegraph poles and systems. Now, at that time, that was the means of communication across long distance, and was also really all the electronics that the world really had. So the concern today, in today's world, is if that kind of event occurred again, which is the concern with this current, geostorm, with how heavily our modern world is dependent on electronics for communication, for transportation, for food, for survival, then we would be thrown back thousands of years as a humankind because we depend so heavily on electronics. So, yeah, but most likely we'll just lose phone signal and have pretty lights in the sky. Good times. Friday.
What do you guys think, man? That video, man, just shows us how much we dependent on, man, technology. And if it's just can get taken out like that, we all discombobulated. We're all over the place, man. I'm surprised this geostorm, like these facts, hasn't been on the news or something so people could prepare. Wonder why that is.
8 o'clock Eastern time, it is an important update. The geomagnetic storm has just reached Category 5, a G5 with a K index of 9. It's the strongest geomagnetic storm in 20 years.
Damn.
What you're looking at right here, if I get off out of the way, is the actual auroral oval right now. It's all the way down to the central United States. You can see it right there. And that's almost down, as a matter of fact, as far south as St. Louis and Washington, D.C. I mean, really amazing. Now, it has to be clear, and of course it's getting dark right now, but definitely head away from city lights, look to the north tonight. This could be one of your few chances in your lifetime at these latitudes to be able to see the aurora borealis, but get to dark skies. This map actually confirms what we saw just a moment ago. This is typically what you'd see. Down to the red line is where you'd be able to see an aurora when you have a G5 storm like this, which extends from, around Norfolk, Virginia, westward to Northern California. And you can see it just amazingly how far south it is compared to normal. I mean, if it's just a regular geomagnetic storm, it would be all the way up here in the northern tier of the United States to northern Maine, and it's nowhere like that. So definitely try to get out tonight, look to the north. Yeah, there will be some communication problems and things like that, but let's concentrate on the aurora right now because that's the fun part of these geomagnetic storms. Good luck tonight.
Really?
Solar storm to strike Earth since 2005 is on its way tonight. Because of that, NOAA did issue a geomagnetic storm watch for the planet Earth. This is due to a G4 class solar storm, which is severe on the scale. Now, some of the effects that we might see from this tonight are possible voltage issues to the power grid up north. Disruptions are possible to satellite navigation as well. And auroras could be possible all the way down to the Gulf Coast tonight, especially on the horizon. If you want to have a good shot at seeing this, you are going to have to get out of areas of light pollution and also use a camera as well to see it best on the horizon. Now, if you really want to see it tonight, you're going to have to go north up into places like South Dakota, Minnesota, Illinois, Michigan, and especially up into Canada.
Really?
If you guys haven't heard yet, there's signal issues going on. There's a geostorm affecting everybody. It doesn't matter if you're on RTK WAS, Trimble, Egg Leader, Deer, everything can get knocked out. A couple of geese here.
Even the geese getting affected.
If you guys have questions, you can call us, but I'm sure everyone's being affected, so I just wanted to let everybody know.
The thing that's getting to me is, man, we haven't been seeing this like on the news and stuff, man. It's like the geomagnetic storms and stuff. Everybody just they're focusing on the lights, but they just like kind of ignoring the possibilities of what could happen. That's concerning. These geomagnetic storms. When I looked up, I'm about to say I looked up in the sky at night and I ain't seen no aurora lights. And that's a rare opportunity. Maybe you guys saw, because we all over the place now. I've been seeing from the comments. So tell me if you guys been affected by this G5 storm. Whoa. Another one?
Hey guys, they are forecasting that we will see some additional geomagnetic activity about midday today, May 12th. So they are forecasting that it'll be somewhere between the G4 to G5 severe status. So be on the lookout, guys.
This geostorm, man. It's affecting it. It's affecting everything, bro. That's why I'm top 10 with the TikToks, man. I would have never known. But has it been on the news or something, man? I'm glad for our community seekers. It keeps me tapped in.
They had a machine that was used to control the weather. Then somehow the machine got hacked and it started malfunctioning. And it started controlling the weather on its own will. And it started killing people. So they had to destroy the machine because they had got hacked and started malfunctioning, being out of control.
And there's a movie called Geostorm. Is that a sign? Is there any correlation between those two? Any similarities? Hey, man. Nowadays, you never know. That Geostorm, like I said, that was a movie that came out. And we guys been, these videos, you've been seeing how these movies and stuff, they're based off like true events. Sometimes even these fictional movies behind the scenes, man, like every stories, every movie, every piece of media you see, man, it comes from a true story somewhere around the world. What do you guys think? If you guys made it with me to the end, you guys are real ones supporting the channels. I really appreciate that, man. You're a true seeker. So thank you, man. Like I said, guys, if you guys want to stay tapped in with the community with us, man, follow me on all my social medias down below. I'm really trying to get my numbers up on there as well. So I greatly appreciate the support, just so we can, stay in contact with each other and we can grow and we can share what we find together. Guys, gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, seekers. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do here, man. We break down scary and creepy videos on the net, on the web, man. From YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping in with the channel, subscribing, hitting that like button, man, spreading the word about the channel. Greatly appreciate that, man. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best. Let's seek the truth.
Fascinating as fuck. Jeremy, ill or messed up, were sent to work on Shrek. This was seen as a form of punishment known as getting Shreked.
Getting Shreked? You guys, seekers, man, that proves right there, bro. You never know what could happen, man. They got sent as a form of punishment, but Shrek, you know, that kicked off that franchise, man. So you never know, man, what life's gonna take, what road it's gonna push you down, man. One door closes, another opportunity opens, man. But that's crazy, man. I heard about the fashion guy, you know, who was in jail, but they liked him so much he became like a, I guess, big fashion star icon. I ain't kind of believe it at first, but it confirmed it. Tap in with us, man.
This mother and her 10-month-old baby were murdered by the cartel. 16-year-old Alyssa Perez was found deceased holding her 10-month-old baby, Nicholas, in a ditch in Tulare, California. Officers arrived to the home around 4 a.m. after someone called police about a large number of gunshots. When they entered the home, they found another victim in the doorway, and there were 3 more bodies inside, including an older woman. All the victims were murdered by a gunshot to the head, and 2 other women actually survived by hiding in a nearby trailer. It's been said that Alyssa tried to run away with her baby, but then she was found and murdered. Investigators believe that this was a gang-related attack and that they were trying to send a message. But after further investigation, police records revealed that the week prior, a search warrant was done on the property and guns, marijuana, and meth were found, which is why they concluded that this crime was drug-related. Police also mentioned that the manner and swiftness of the killings suggested that the men were experienced in murder.
So it was targeted.
What was the Cincinnati Crawler? In 1974, the Johnson family in Cincinnati noticed a couple of weird things happening in their home. Their 14-year-old daughter, Claire, would complain of seeing glowing eyes outside her window at night, and the feeling of being watched. One night, the youngest son, Timmy, was laying in bed in the dark when he felt the family dog jump onto his bed. Except that when he went to pet it, it wasn't the dog, but the Cincinnati Crawler, who immediately fled the scene. Till date, police think that the Crawler is responsible for the disappearance of 4 other boys in the area. While some believe that he was an escaped convict, others believe that he was actually the victim of human experiments that may have been conducted by the family's dad. However, we only know what he looks like from a photo Claire snapped before he escaped, leading many to wonder.
We need to talk.
The Cincinnati Crawler. What the hell? And it's kind of weird that he's never been caught to this day, I'm guessing. Like, imagine, yeah, you think it's a dog you petting, and it's a whole person, man, just in your house wearing that type of mask. How would you guys respond? That's just something you don't even think about, man. How the hell did he get in a house? These are questions, man, we need to be asking ourselves.
Talk about this photo, because Josh Maddox was found inside this chimney with his knees bent over his head, and he had been there for 7 years. But what happened to him, and how did he end up stuck inside a chimney for that long? Allegedly, Josh went out on a walk one day and completely disappeared, until one day a builder from Colorado Springs wanted to demolish his old abandoned cabin, and that's when Josh was found curled up and mummified inside the chimney. But the strange thing is, even though his body was found with his knees bent over his head, there were no injuries or broken bones. The coroner who performed Josh's autopsy believes he crawled up the chimney himself, and he curled up in that position to protect himself from something. But this case gets even more bizarre from here. Not only was Josh found in such an unnatural position, but he was found only wearing a thermal suit. The rest of his clothes were in the cabin, neatly folded. So why would he fold up his clothes and then crawl up the chimney? The chimney also had a heavy steel mesh grate built into it, so it would have been impossible for anyone to slide back down the chimney. Many people disagree, but this terrible incident was eventually ruled as an accident, even though we'll never truly know what Josh wanted to protect himself from by crawling up the chimney. Follow for more.
Was that an accident? The heck?
Asmodeus,
If you're thinking about ignoring your gut instinct, don't. Here are 3 reasons why you should trust it. BuzzFeed user Vodka Sunshine said that when she was in college, there was this really cute guy in one of her classes. A week or 2 in, they had to work together on a small project, and she was pretty excited about the opportunity to get to know him. After speaking to him, though, she got a really bad vibe from him, but nothing specific that she could put her finger on. She said that she lost all attraction to him and knew that she should keep her distance. A month or 2 later, their teacher announced that the guy had been arrested for murdering a girl he was dating. Reddit user Helios21 said that he was at a club on a boardwalk with some buddies in Puerto Rico. Said that he just didn't feel right and he told them that they should leave. They fussed and moaned, but eventually they all left. Before they even hit the parking lot, a massive shootout broke out inside the club. The front door guy was shot to death and a few of the people inside were as well. It was literal pandemonium, people screaming and running everywhere. The ride back to their place was quiet, but they all knew they got really lucky that night. Reddit user BreakTD said that over 20 years ago when he was 17 or so, 2 of his buddies came to pick him up to get the night started. He got in the back of their car, but as soon as he sat down, he had a feeling of impending doom rush over him. He said that he had never felt that feeling before, and never felt it since. He immediately asked to be let out with some excuse and said that they would catch up later. He got out, and he said the feeling quickly faded, so he went on about his day. About 2 hours later, he catches up with some other friends, and they immediately tell him that the 2 friends that came to pick him up earlier were involved in a major car accident. Both were seriously hurt and in the hospital. The accident happened about 10 minutes after they tried to pick him up. They both survived. The car did not survive though. It was struck in the passenger side rear right, where he would have been sitting. Reddit user BreakTD said that he was pretty positive after seeing the damage done that he would not have survived.
The orphan.
Hey man, we gotta trust our gut feelings, because they, even though you know some people may try to knock and be like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, but no, your gut feeling, like if you feel something that's not right or you feeling vibe is off or something, just trust it. As it was shown here today, man, it can literally save your life.
Was based on a real story. In 2007, a 33-year-old Czech Republic woman named Barbara Swirlova used her rare disease, hypoparathyroidism, to pose as a 13-year-old girl and trick 2 sisters, Clara and Katerina Marova, into adopting her. She quickly took advantage of the schizophrenic sisters and manipulated them into joining a cult called the Grail Movement, which promoted child abuse and cannibalism, amongst other aberrations. Barbara soon got jealous of Clara's biological children and schemed to get rid of them. She broke things and pinned the blame on the 2 children and convinced the 2 sisters that they needed to be punished in the form of torture. Eventually, a neighbor caught the signal of a wireless camera and reported them to the police, but not before Barbara posed as a 12-year-old girl called Annika and got adopted by another family, fleeing the country. Eventually, she was caught and extradited to the Czech Republic. But did you know that?
She pulled that off 2 times. How the hell does she do that?
If you've seen enough of my videos, you probably think you know what's in that suitcase, but you're wrong. In May of 2004, several pieces of luggage washed up on a shore in Virginia, each case containing the body parts of an unidentified person. Immediately, an investigation was launched, and a facial reconstruction of the body led to Melanie McGuire. Melanie, who was having an affair with her boss, had purchased a gun and shot her husband Bill multiple times. She then dismembered his body, packed it into 3 separate suitcases, and dumped them into Chesapeake Bay. And on July 19th, 2007, at the age of 34, Melanie McGuire was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison.
So crying, like what the hell?
Cameron realized he was sentenced to 24 years in prison. Cameron was a normal 18-year-old boy living in Tampa, Florida in 2018. He had also recently graduated high school, and to congratulate him, his parents got him a black Ford Mustang.
Damn.
On May 23, 2018, Cameron and his brother Tristan had gone to a local gym. While they were there, they had also run into an old friend of theirs named John Burineau. Once they were done at the gym, all 3 of the friends got into their cars. Cameron and Tristan were in the black Ford Mustang, while John was in his own car. As they approached a street light, both of the cars were side by side, and that's where they got the brilliant idea to do some street racing. both of the cars sped up very quickly, reaching over 100 miles an hour.
Sheesh.
At the same time, a mother and her young child were crossing the street. Unfortunately, the cars were just going way too fast in order for her to make it across the street in time. Her name was Jessica and her daughter's name was Lilia. And unfortunately, it was a direct hit. John was able to swerve past her, but unfortunately, Cameron ended up hitting her head on. All Cameron could do was watch Jessica and Lilia's bodies fly into the air as he hit them. Moments after the crash, Jessica's husband David Romanel passed by in his own car. At the time that he was passing by, he had no idea that his wife had just been involved in a major accident. He noticed there was a huge crowd of people looking at the accident, but he just wanted to get home and hope that no one had gotten hurt too badly. David then tried to call his wife, but she wasn't answering, and when he went home, she wasn't there either. He then figured that she must have seen the accident, so he went to go see for himself. And when he got there, that's when he noticed that his wife and baby stroller was right there in the middle of the street. Immediately, chills went down his spine when he realized that his wife and daughter had been the victims of this horrible accident. Unfortunately, Jessica passed away the same day as the accident, and Lilia tried to fight, but she passed away the following day. Immediately, both Cameron and John were charged since they were the ones driving. John took a plea deal and was given 6 years in prison with 15 years of probation. Cameron took an open plea, but to his surprise and his family's surprise, he was given 24 years in prison. And right away, people were absolutely torn about this decision. The judge believed that Cameron had shown no remorse, and he also had a history of racing recklessly. Meanwhile, supporters of Cameron believed that the punishment was way too harsh, considering that he was 18 years old when the entire thing happened. And today, he's still in prison. Let me know what you guys think. It's time for...
What do you guys think about that? I mean, he had a history of that, man, and I knew once you said it was side to side, man. People were really thinking it's Fast and Furious. I did it. It's not, man. It's real life. You just can't race all over the streets because you never know what's gonna happen. And look at the end result.
For cookies and crime. We're still on the topic of love or lack thereof, and this case is Clara Harris. Clara Harris was a Colombian immigrant and was named Mrs. Columbia Houston and worked as a dentist. She married David Harris on February 14, 1992. Coincidence? I think not. David was an orthodontist, and together they owned a chain of dental offices. They had successful businesses, and the couple was able to afford an upscale home and lifestyle in Friendswood, Texas. On the outside, they seemed happily married. They had 3 kids, a nice house, and a couple of expensive cars. Life was great right up until David admitted he was having an affair with his former receptionist. Desperate to keep her husband, Clara tried everything to win him back. She quit her job and began working out. She dyed her hair, worked on her tan, and even scheduled a breast enhancement surgery. But when her plans failed, she got even more desperate. Clara hired a private detective to tail the 2 lovebirds, and on July 24, 2002, she got a call. The investigator had followed the couple to the Nassau Bay Hilton.
Oh, man.
And to add insult to injury, that's the same hotel where Clara and David had gotten married. Infuriated, Clara grabbed her keys and her 16-year-old stepdaughter, David's biological daughter, and sped off in her Mercedes. When she reached the Hilton, Clara stormed inside the lobby and attacked her rival, staring at her until they were escorted outside by hotel security. Still on a high of adrenaline and furious, Clara rushed back to her car, and as the adulterers walked away outside, she hit the gas.
What the?
With her stepdaughter in the car. The car slammed into David, sending him into the air, and even before touching the ground, Clara hit him again. This time, she waited for David to land before running him over 3 times. Ironically, her private investigator was there and had recorded the whole incident. Clara's daughter spoke against her having been in the car. She was found guilty of murdering her husband, and on February 14, 2003, a trend here, she was sentenced to 20 years in prison, the maximum sentence allowed by the jury's sudden passion finding. The murder was ruled a crime of passion. I don't know about you guys, but I find the ruling of crime of passion so interesting because it's a ruling that considers people's emotions and how sometimes it's so uncontrollable it makes us do crazy things. Clara was released on parole May 11th, 2018 and was released from parole this month.
careful who you get in a relationship to, man. See, because I've been saying
This is
that.
part 2 on the case of 16-year-old Susana Morales and how a police officer has been accused of murdering her. Near Susana's body, police found that belonged to 22-year-old Miles Bryant, who was currently a police officer for the Doraville Police Department. When detectives discovered that a police officer was found near the crime scene, they were very confused. I mean, this can't really be a coincidence. They start looking deeper into Miles, and that's when they discovered that on July 27th, Miles actually reported as missing. He claims he accidentally left his truck unlocked and that someone broke into the truck, they stole his weapon, they stole his military ID, and they also stole his wallet. Now, Miles filed this police report at around 11 a.m. on July 27th, just 2 hours after Susana's family had reported her as missing. Now, what are the odds that this guy's weapon was stolen 2 hours after Susana was reported missing? And then that same weapon was found near Susana's body. Just didn't make sense, so detectives looked further into him, and that's when they discovered that Miles Bryant actually lived at the Sterling Glen Apartments, the same apartments that Susana was at the night that she disappeared. Not only did he live there, but he also worked as a courtesy security officer for the building. Now, all of this is no longer a coincidence, so on February 13th, 2023, 22-year-old Miles Bryant was arrested and charged for the murder and kidnapping of 16-year-old Susana Morales. He was also accused of filing a false police report since he claims that his weapon was stolen, but in reality, it wasn't. When Susana's family heard that a police officer was arrested for her murder, they just couldn't believe it. They said that a police officer being involved was the last thing that they ever suspected. They never thought to themselves, oh, maybe a cop did it. Like, this was just so surprising. Family says that they had no idea who Miles Bryant was and that they don't believe that Susana knew him. Police have also come out and said that they haven't been able to find any type of connection between Susana or Miles Bryant. This possibly is a stranger-on-stranger crime. So this is what police think happened. The night of July 26, 2022, Susana Morales did leave the Sterling Glen Apartments at around 9:40 p.m. Then, somewhere between 10 p.m. and 10:30 p.m., detectives believe that Susana encountered Bryant and that he possibly offered her a ride home. He did have his patrol car with him. He would always take it home with him. So police don't know if he did use his car or his power as a police officer to lure Susana into his car. Maybe he saw Susana walking home by herself and he decided to approach her and said, oh, I'm a cop, I can give you a ride home. It's possible that he did use his power as a police officer to get Susana to get inside his vehicle and to trust him. Detectives believe that somewhere between 10 p.m. and 2 o'clock in the morning on July 27th, Susana was killed. The cause of death has not been revealed yet, but at this time detectives don't believe that she was... Yes, the weapon was found near her body, but they don't believe that's what killed her. As police dug further into Bryant, they discovered that he had a history of stalking and harassing women. For now, Bryant remains behind bars, and I just really hope that Susana Morales gets the justice that she deserves.
Buster Murdaugh has finally put out a statement. Buster is the son of Alec Murdaugh, a former South Carolina lawyer who was recently convicted of murdering his wife and son, aka Buster's mother and brother. Buster testified for his father's defense in the trial, but there have also been a lot of rumors and suspicion around Buster's involvement in the death of a 19-year-old man, Stephen Smith. Stephen Smith was found dead on the side of the road on July 8th, 2015. One pathologist said that it seemed that he had been hit by a vehicle. However, the team that responded to the scene said that there were no vehicle debris, no skid marks, or injuries consistent with someone being struck by a vehicle.
Really?
There was no real evidence that he was struck, but his death basically was ruled accidental. About 2 years ago, when investigators started looking into the deaths of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh, they also reopened the investigation into Stephen Smith's death. This was because of information that they learned while investigating the murders. There has recently been a lot of suspicion online that Buster and or Paul could have been involved in Stephen's death. Since then, Stephen's family have raised money to exhume his body and do a private independent autopsy. They are seeking a new, unbiased look at his body and an accurate determination of his cause of death based on facts. This will be happening soon, and they are hopeful that he will get justice. Since Buster's father was convicted of the murders, there's been a lot of suspicion around him and his potential involvement in Stephen Smith's death. Nothing has been proven, and it's all alleged so far. But today, Buster Murdaugh came out with a statement. He said, I have tried my best to ignore the vicious rumors about my involvement in Stephen Smith's tragic death that continue to be published in the media as I grieve over the brutal murders of my mother and brother. I love them so much and miss them terribly. I haven't spoken up until now because I want to live in private while I cope with their deaths and my father's Before, during, and since my father's trial, I have been targeted and harassed by media and followers of this story. This has gone on far too long. These baseless rumors of my involvement with Stephen and his death are false. He continued, I unequivocally deny any involvement in his death, and my heart goes out to the Smith family. I'm requesting that the media immediately stop publishing these defamatory comments and rumors about me. So as I said, everything that has come out about Buster's potential involvement in Stephen's death is alleged. Nothing has been proven. Hopefully the new independent autopsy will provide some answers and clarity as to what happened to Stephen. And hopefully if he was killed by somebody and his death was not an accident, he will get justice.
What do you guys think, Seekers? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that wasn't adding up about the case, but they say it was alleged so far. I mean, we're just gonna have to check that up and see if anything else happened with that case. To see if there's more to it. Sounds like it.
Story of Khaleesi William, a 16-year-old girl murdered while recording what would be her last TikTok video. Disclaimer: the video is to bring awareness to Khaleesi Williams' story and meant to cause no harm. Please pray for the friends and the family of the victim. Atlanta, Georgia, gained national news in 2020 after a horrifying death of a young girl. In December 2020, Khaleesi Williams, a 16-year-old high school student, received an invite to a party that was going to be held at an Airbnb. This party would be chaperoned by an adult. Khaleesi's stepfather, Ronnie Savoy, encouraged her to go to the event since she had been confined to her house since the lockdown due to COVID-19.
Okay.
Supposed to be at an Airbnb with a couple of more friends from school and the mother. They'd have done this once before, so we was a little comfortable of letting her go the second time. And we spoke to the mother, and she said she was going to be there.
April Smith, Khaleesi's mother, agreed with her daughter getting some time out of the house and enjoying herself. The chaperone informed Khaleesi's parents that the event would be an Airbnb party for children, and that she would be responsible for everything. The parents felt at ease and decided that sending Khaleesi to spend the night would be good for her.
Alright.
At 12:02 a.m., Khaleesi is seen performing a dance routine in her TikTok video when someone suddenly entered her room without knocking. The teen looked shocked and afraid, then suddenly stopped filming her video. The sound of gunshots could be heard from her room a few minutes later. Partygoers were unaware of what happened to Khaleesi. Two guys discovered Khaleesi on the floor of her hotel room. They carried her to the elevator while holding her from behind and supporting her legs. As of 12:27 a.m., authorities had been notified about an earlier disturbance at Hyatt Regency. Following their arrival, the cops went to check on Khaleesi. She wasn't breathing and had no pulse. She was then transferred to the hospital, where she remained for some time. The medical staff tried to save Khaleesi's life but were unsuccessful. The 16-year-old was pronounced dead in the hospital. Khaleesi's parents called the chaperone to check on the well-being of their child, but were only informed about their child's death 8 hours after she passed. It was a shock to Khaleesi's parents to learn of what had happened to their daughter. They were enraged because the chaperone had failed to tell them sooner of the occurrence.
The hotel room was in her name, so I feel like she should be held accountable for my daughter's death as well.
They didn't learn the group was staying at a Hyatt Regency until they received a horrific call the next day.
Like, this is the morgue. And I was like, the morgue? They was like, yes, ma'am. They was like, well, we're waiting on your daughter's body to come through.
What the fuck?
I'm like, whoa.
Khaleesi's parents say that call didn't come until 8:45 a.m. The teen was pronounced dead at 12:23 in the morning.
Khaleesi's parents were also unaware that the party had moved to Hyatt Regency Hotel instead of the Airbnb that was previously discussed. The parents felt like the chaperone should be held accountable for the tragedy that happened to their daughter, since she took responsibility for the safety of the children at the party, and her parents only allowed Khaleesi to attend the party on the assurance that the chaperone would look after her. The Atlanta Police Department reports that Khaleesi knew her attacker. Anthony Grant, the police spokesman of the Atlanta Police Department, reported as follows. Preliminary investigation suggests that the victim was inside of a room at the Hyatt Regency with a juvenile male companion. A verbal dispute occurred between both parties which resulted in the juvenile male fatally shooting the victim. The juvenile is a 16-year-old boy, but identity is being concealed. The 16-year-old boy was taken into custody by Atlanta police and taken to Atlanta Police headquarters for additional questioning. At this time, the boy admitted to shooting Khaleesi after they got into a heated argument. Police then arrested the boy and charged him with felony murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a gun by someone younger than 18 years of age. The defendant is now being tried in an Atlanta court pending the court's ultimate judgment. Calicia's parents also hold the hotel staff responsible for her child's death, and they protested outside of the Hyatt Regency Hotel along with supporters to express their outrage at the hotel's negligence that resulted in their daughter's death.
I want the surveillance footage of what happened, you know, who went.
She should be able to get that footage. I mean, it's her daughter. There's a lot of misinformation, man, on our party. They say it was at a B&B. It was going to be at the Airbnb. It turned out to be at a hotel. The chaperone, I don't know what the hell they were doing that allowed that to happen, man. It's supposed to be monitoring the party, and look what happened. You can't even go to a simple party nowadays, man. And they be so young, bro. And they be doing this type of things. They really, truly don't think out their action seekers. It's crazy. You guys, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're a real one, supporting the channel, seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, subscribe to the channel, hit that post notification bell, hit that like button, man. Also, man, tell me down below, once again, if you guys don't like my new reaction style. Pause and letting the video play through. I'm just trying to give you guys the best content as possible, man. Also, man, let me know. Also, tell me down below if you guys like the new thumbnails, man. I'm trying to really up my game, especially, man, with someone coming up, man. We're grinding. Guys, gonna catch you in the next one. I'm out. Peace, seekers. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing alright, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, we break down scary and creepy videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, Facebook, IG, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank you guys who's been tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, hitting that like button, man, helping us grow in our community, the seekers, man. We seek the truth, so I appreciate each and every single one of you, man. Also, man, let me know below if you guys can notice the difference in the audio quality. It should be much clearer now. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Seek the truth.
Who took his own life after falling victim to a sextortion scam is finally seeing justice. Nigerian brothers Samuel and Samson Ogoshi posed as a woman on Instagram and tricked 17-year-old George DeMay into sending them intimate photos.
Catfish.
They demanded the teen send them $1,000, threatening to share the pictures with his friends and family if he didn't pay up. 6 hours later, DeMay was found dead. His last message was, "I'm killing myself right now because of you." Now the scammers have pleaded guilty to conspiring to exploit teenage boys.
When I tell you,
be careful who you talk to out here.
Tears to my eyes as a mom. This brought tears to my eyes. Okay, this is Matthew and Savannah, baby Fabian. If most of y'all know the Savannah Soto case, 18-year-old pregnant girl from Texas. Unfortunately, she was found deceased. Her and her boyfriend were found deceased.
What?
And she was pregnant with baby Fabian. She was gonna be having him any day, y'all. This is baby Fabian. This picture was shared by the family, and they wanted to show how peaceful he looked, and he looks. And the message says, "We will forever be grateful to at now I lay me down to sleep for these wonderful photos of our grandson Fabian Guerrera. Memories we can hold in our heart till we get to hold you again. You are now an angel with mommy and daddy in heaven. So the day we see Matthew, Savannah, and baby Fabian again, you will all be forever in our hearts. I know all three are looking down on us as a family in heaven." And these are some photos from the funeral, you guys. She was buried holding her baby. It's hard to hold back tears right now, but rest in peace to Savannah, Matthew, and baby Fabian.
This is one of the scariest ghost stories I've heard, so now everyone's got to hear it. Back in 2003, there was this group of deployed American Marines who got moved into abandoned military housing that was dubbed Ghost Town. They got the name because apparently the first group of Marines that lived there only made it a week before they couldn't live there anymore. They said they couldn't sleep the entire time they were there. Like all night they would hear the sounds of children laughing, of like footsteps upstairs when there was no one there. I talk about it this week on the podcast, but one night the new group that had moved in had to go out and patrol the area. So they're walking through the neighborhood, like past a bunch of abandoned houses, and then all of a sudden, one of the Marines just starts screaming. He throws his weapon down and just takes off running, like through enemy territory with no weapon.
Whoa.
So half of the Marines chase after him, and then the other half turn around to see what he was screaming at. They said that behind them, there was this creature that looked like a shadow come to life. It It was really tall and skinny, but they said it had these bright, glowing red eyes. But before they knew what to do, it just vanished. The craziest part is that multiple other people have reported seeing this exact creature, like, in the area. If you want to hear more of these stories, you've got to check out the podcast this week.
What do you guys think, man? There's something more to that story, because they said multiple people in the area has reported that, man. So it's just not like a one case occurrence. When that happens multiple times, that's a pattern. There's definitely some weird energy in that town or something, man. Guys, we need to check that out.
This math teacher had with 2 schoolboys, and one of them got her pregnant. The boy told police in an interview that Jonas had given her 10 of the 11 digits to her phone number and challenged him to guess the other, which he had, and that had led to them messaging each other. Joins groomed the first student by taking him to the Trafford Centre and bought him a Gucci belt. Later, she drove the boy back to her flat in Salford, where they had sex twice. Rumours spread among the boy's friends, the jury heard, and Joyce was suspended by her school in October 2021 after being arrested by police. She was subsequently charged and was due to face trial, but then it emerged she had been in a long-term intimate relationship with second student. She said the relationship had begun when the boy was 15, and he went into her flat twice, where they kissed, but it became intimate when he turned 16, whilst she was on bail and faced charges over the first student. Phone messages between then became more flirtatious. One he sent read, "Get your tits out," and she replied, "Not tonight." And then she went on to send him a photo of her bum in just her knickers. Sacked in July 2022, denies 4 charges of inappropriate activity with a child and 2 charges of inappropriate activity with a child as a person in a position of trust. The trial continues and is expected to last 2 weeks.
That is disgusting. She was on trial for something and still continued to do the same thing. What the hell would be going through people's mind, man? She was a teacher too, bro. Supposed to be teaching kids. That's an edit.
Interesting facts you never knew. The last one was shot. If you stay up all night, your body burns an extra 161 calories. If you pinch the skin on your elbow as hard as you can, you won't feel any pain. One of your friends wants to be more than a friend to you. It's the third person you see when you click on share and then more. A woman can get pregnant while she's already pregnant and have children by 2 different people at the same time. If you Google the word askew, the page will tilt slightly clockwise. Go do it and then come back and let me know if it worked in the comments below. There's a syndrome where people believe they're turning into trees called Cotard's syndrome. Almost 20 million people share the same birthday. Comment your birthday and see who has the same one as you. My birthday is August 29th. Before the last fact, support me by clicking the follow button for more interesting facts every day. A British Marine had a leg tattoo of Liverpool's motto, "You'll never walk alone." He got hurt in Afghanistan and had to get his leg amputated, which also cut off part of the tattoo. Now it says, "You'll never walk."
What was Megan Thee Stallion talking about when she referenced Megan's Law? If this law existed, 7-year-old Megan Conca wouldn't have been essayed and killed. Jesse Timendegas had served time for 2 previous convictions for essay against children. But still, he was able to move across the street from 7-year-old Megan Conca and her family. Her parents had no idea that the man who seemed to be chilling in his yard every time Megan went out to play or draw with sidewalk chalk was watching her and waiting for the time to strike. On July 29, 1994, he lured the child into his house under the pretense that she could play with his new puppy. He essayed her, but because he didn't want her to report it, he strangled her with a belt, and he dumped her body in the nearby park. And the next day, he confessed to police and led them to the dump site. Evidence included bloodstains, hair samples, and a bite mark on Jesse's hand because Megan had tried to fight back. He was initially given the death penalty, but the state of New Jersey changed this to life in prison without parole. And because Megan's family had no idea that they were living across the street from someone who had committed violent crimes against children, they fought to have a federal law passed in Megan's name. Megan's Law requires law enforcement to make info on offenders public. By being a registered offender, you're added to the offender registry that includes your name, crimes, and address, and you must alert the government if you move. Before Megan's Law, only 5 states required people like this to register, as required in the Jacob Wetterling Act, which I covered in a separate video. Together, the Wetterling Act and Megan's Law protect the public in two ways. One, the registry itself, and two, community notification for the public. Megan's Law would have given Megan's family the chance to protect her. And looking up the list of offenders in your area is something I recommend for everybody to do, and let me know if you want me to make a tutorial on how to do that. So when Megan Thee Stallion referenced Megan's Law in her newest diss track, she was referencing the fact that Nicki Minaj is married to a offender. If you like this video, give me a follow and stay safe out there.
So that's what that
This
ball
kid
is
hated
for.
his Spanish teacher so much, he offered his friends £10 to murder her. Will Cornick's
What?
parents separated, but both were described as supportive. He enrolled at Corpus Christi in year 7. His former head of year said he was polite and always showed up. Prior to the murder, he only had 4 instances of misbehavior in 4.5 years at the school and had no criminal record. His classmates described him as academically gifted and unlikely to cause trouble. Will's personality changed after he collapsed while on holiday in Cornwall, and he was diagnosed with diabetes. Sadly, he self-harmed due to the condition. In 2013, he was disappointed to learn that he wouldn't be able to join the army due to his diabetes. At Christmas that year, he sent a Facebook message to his friend where he talked about brutally murdering Anne McGuire, who was his Spanish teacher. Will had been planning the murder 4 days beforehand. It was said that he held a deep-seated grudge against Anne McGuire. He had also sent Facebook messages to his friends, asking them if they could murder her for £10. On the 28th of April 2014, Will attended class as normal. After morning break, he went to the top floor for his Spanish lessons. Midway through the lessons, he got up and started randomly attacking Anne, stabbing her 7 times in the back and neck with a 21cm knife, one cut straight through her jugular vein. He then chased her into the corridor, where Susan Francis was, who was the head of Spanish. She started to scream for help. She managed to separate and shield Anne from Will. Susan managed to put Anne in a room by herself and held the door closed to keep Will away from her. She was also pregnant at the time. Will then returned to class and told a friend that it was a shame that he had not killed Anne there and there. Will had brought a bottle of whiskey to celebrate, and he admitted that he was going to kill 2 more teachers. He was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 20 years.
It's like after he just got done, he turned to a different person. It just switched. It's crazy to see how a person could just turn like that. You never know. Edit. Like this is a telekinetic. What?
Congratulations, you once again made it to criminal TikTok, and these chemicals, when combined, will create deadly results. Remember to tag a friend below so they don't accidentally combine these chemicals and use them on someone that they don't like. Alright, the first one, I'm sure everyone knows this, but if you mix these 2 common household ingredients, bleach and ammonia, for example, while cleaning a toilet, you know what this does? Creates mustard gas. But if you didn't already know this, if you combine bleach with someone's dog's piss, that shit might make chlorine gas. Obviously not a lot, but if the dog pisses a lot, or it's in an enclosed space, this will fucking cause some serious shit. Next up, if you accidentally mix hydrogen peroxide and then mix that with vinegar at the right concentrations, that creates something called peracetic acid. I don't even know what the fuck that is, but it sounds dangerous. Remember not to accidentally throw that on someone you don't like. And last but not least, there's a reason why you never mix bleach with rubbing alcohol. Okay, the reason is it creates chloroform, the shit that knocks you out and fucking kills you after. Remember, do not use any of these and stay safe.
Have you ever heard of Leonardo
crazy.
Cianciulli, or the soap maker of Correggio? Sorry if I butchered that. At the turn of the 20th century, Leonarda had 17 pregnancies in total. Out of those 17 pregnancies, she lost 3 children to miscarriage and 10 died very young. Leonardo was very protective of her 4 remaining children. especially her oldest son, who was her favorite, Giuseppe. Again, I'm sorry if I butchered that. Giuseppe decided to enlist in the Italian army to help with World War II efforts. Leonardo was deeply suspicious, and when her son joined the army, she turned to those superstitions to keep him safe. Leonardo would go on to murder 3 women from 1939 to 1940. She would lure them in under the guise of work or matchmaking in a different country. She had the women write detailed letters to her families explaining their trips. She would then kill them with an axe and bake them into tea cakes that she would feed to her son and her friends and family. With her last victim, she even went as far as to turn her into soap. But her last victim had family that didn't believe the story of the quick trip to a different country. They would involve the police, and one of her family members had seen her go into Leonardo's home. It didn't take long for Leonardo to confess to everything. Leonardo's trial would only last for 3 days, and she was sentenced to 33 years in prison. She died of a brain hemorrhage in prison on October 15th of 1970. She was 79 years old. I personally don't think that was enough time, but what do you think?
She literally turned someone into soap. How do you even do that? Man, these cases get crazier and crazier. Tap in with us, Seekers. We're gonna learn some new stuff. The car was
This girl killed her mum and then texted a photo of her body to her dad. In 2013, Rachel Hudson and her family were supposed to be celebrating Thanksgiving at their home in Virginia. However, the holiday would take a horrendously sinister turn. Rachel's mum was terminally ill 58-year-old Susan Lee. Rachel had been her mum's carer since she was just 9 years old.
Young.
On the evening in question, Rachel and her dad got into an argument. When her dad left the house the next day to make the most of the Black Friday sales, Rachel did something unthinkable. She took a weapon out of the wardrobe and loaded it. She apparently thought about unaliving herself at this point, but she didn't want to put her mum through the trauma of finding her body. She then walked into the room where her mum was and said, "I'm sorry, this is what has to happen." Her mum apparently told her, "You're crazy," and this is the point where Rachel killed her mum. When she texted her dad to break the news to him, he obviously didn't believe what she was saying. She then took a photo of her mum's body and texted it over to her dad. Rachel was sentenced initially to 50 years in prison, but this was reduced to 18 years because of an apparent undiagnosed mental illness.
Interview with People magazine, Gypsy Rose and
Dark
her
case.
husband Ryan Anderson are sharing their love story. The couple got married in a prison ceremony in July 2022, but up until this point we hadn't really known the details of how they met. But shortly before she was released, both Gypsy and Ryan spoke with People magazine and shared some more details of their love story. Ryan Anderson is a 37-year-old special education teacher originally from Gypsy's home state of Louisiana.
Okay.
He told People that they first met back in 2020 when he decided to take a chance and write to her. He said, "It was when Tiger King was really popular. My coworker at the time said, 'I want to write to Tiger King.' And I said, 'I'll tell you what, if you write to him, I'll write to Gypsy Rose Blanchard.'" In that first letter, Ryan told Gypsy, quote, "what her story meant to me, and on the second page, I just let her have it. I told her everything about me." He didn't expect to hear back, but by May 2020, the two were corresponding regularly. Ryan said that he would get butterflies when he got an email from Gypsy. And when the two spoke on the phone for the first time and he heard her voice, that all but sealed the deal for him. Gypsy's also falling in love as Ryan, quote, became her emotional backbone. She said that they met when the pandemic was really strong and she had a lot of emotional ups and downs because of it. She said, "Ryan has seen me through some really good times, some really hard times. I would say that he is probably the most compassionate soul that I've ever met and the most patient." She said, "I could be a lot to handle. I could be an emotional handful, but he is so patient with her." Because of restrictions thanks to the pandemic, they didn't meet in person until July 2021. But they continued to get closer, and according to the interview with People, Ryan became so in tune with Gypsy's emotions that he could tell how she was feeling as soon as she picked up the phone. Gypsy said, I'm able to build this emotional bond that within 2 seconds of talking on the phone, he knows my emotions. She said, I'm thankful that I have a man that is open enough with his own emotions so I could let my emotions flow. On July 21st, 2022, Gypsy and Ryan got married in a prison ceremony. And today, December 28th, 2023, he was the one to pick her up when she was released. Gypsy also mentioned in the interview with People that she wants kids one day. She said, It's hard because I'm going into a new life and I'm newly married and I'm going to have kids one day and I'm going to have to explain to my kids why their grandmother on mommy's side isn't around. And that's going to be a really hard conversation. But by all accounts, it seems like Gypsy is really happy with Ryan and that he has been there supporting her through a lot. So hopefully he will be continuing to support her as she adjusts to her new life.
I'm sorry, we all know how that ended. They got a divorce, or Gypsy, she ain't messing with him no more, man. And I heard there was a report how she's trying to get him back into her TikTok account and get some money back, and they're trying to keep her, something like that. So they got some stuff going on between them two. Just needed to hear the origins of the relationship. That's a good edit.
Hear about the couple that tortured and killed their au pair? Sophie Lynette was a 20-year-old French woman who wanted to work as an au pair in England so that she could learn English. A lot of people take on au pair positions for this reason. It's when you live with a family and take care of their kids while also learning their customs and language. She got a position working for Sabrina Quater and Wissam Madouni. They were French nationals that lived near London, and everything seemed to be going great at first. But little did Sophie know, Sabrina had a very delusional and violent side of her. Sabrina ruled her household with an iron fist and hardly paid Sophie.
Damn.
Sim was very submissive to his wife, which is typically fine, but Sabrina began to abuse Sophie. Neighbors noticed that Sophie seemed stressed and sad, and she had also lost a lot of weight. This is a photo taken just days before she died. Sabrina had withheld food and taken away Sophie's ID and cell phone so that she couldn't contact her family.
The fuck?
Sabrina got it into her head that her au pair was in cahoots with her ex-boyfriend, Mark Walton. Sabrina was convinced that Sophie would get up in the middle of the night and let Mark into their house so that he could abuse their children. And her husband eventually started to believe her. And to be clear, Mark Walton didn't even live in England at the time, and he had no idea who Sophie was. Over a period of several months, the couple beat Sophie, whipped her with extension cords, and then waterboarded her in their bathtub. On Sabrina's phone, they found that she actually recorded some of these interrogations, although the actual audio is not public. It wasn't until neighbors noticed black smoke and a foul odor coming from the couple's backyard. Firefighters showed up and they noticed that chicken was on the grill, but there was also a large fire next to the grill. Upon further inspection, they noticed a pair of glasses as well as human fingers and a nose.
What the?
Sabrina and Sim had killed Sophie, but there was no way to tell for sure exactly how she died. The autopsy showed that she had been beaten severely, and she had several cracked ribs and even a cracked sternum, which I guess means that they stepped on her chest. Because of her inflated lungs, they think that her cause of death was drowning. Both of them were sentenced to 30 years to life behind bars.
It's a dark case, man. She was just trying to learn the customs and just learn the language, man, in order to get a better life, and look what happened. She found the wrong couple. That's an edit.
No, because while this stuff that's been going on in the world is reminding me of American Horror Story Apocalypse Season.
Really?
Let's talk about it. Now, I talk a lot about this show because I feel like it is really woke and it is completely accurate with a lot of stuff that they talk about. So if you haven't watched the show or this episode, I'm about to give y'all a whole rundown of why I feel like it's reminding me of what's going on right now in the world. Okay. So this whole series was basically talking about the end times, the apocalypse, the end of the world, whatever you want to call it. And the world didn't end in a natural way. The world ended on the show because of the higher-ups and the Antichrist. Yeah. So the dude that is like the son of Satan, so the son of Satan is the Antichrist. ever since he was a kid, he's just been super evil. Like, I'm talking about anybody that worked for them at their house. He would kill, as a little kid, he would kill all type of little animals. I'm talking about birds, all type of stuff. It was just really bad. He even had like the mark of the beast or something on the back of his ear. It was crazy. So the lady that raised him was just so tired of burying all the nannies and maids and all this in the backyard. So she kicked him to the curb. So at this point, he's like a teenager. He's lost. He's the Antichrist. But he knows it, but he doesn't quite know like his powers yet. So he stumbles across this Church of Satan, where he meets one of the members that was actually really nice to him. And she finds out that he is the spawn of Satan. Now everybody in this church, or whatever you want to call it, was waiting on this day. Like, that's all they've been waiting on was the Antichrist, of course, for obvious reasons. Their goal was to end the world and restart it over in the devil's image. So the lady that was basically helping the boy out, because at this point he was homeless and he just stumbled across the church and he met her there, she let him stay at her house. He was feeding him and everything like this. And he lost the only person that ever loved him, which was this lady that basically taught him everything he knew about like Satan and all that. So she was like, we can find her, we can get her back. We got powers, we got connections to everywhere, all over the world. And he was like, you can't do that because she's gone. And he was like, yes, we can. So she take him to this like multi-billion-dollar tech company, ran by these two boys that you would probably think like would be in their mom's basement playing video games. And they were the cooperative. Y'all already know the other word for it, but I'm not going to say it on here because, you know, TikTok. They said how they sold their soul, and that's how they got the most biggest tech company in the world. And those two boys that ran that tech company helped the Antichrist in the world. So the only people that were saved were the people that was in the cooperative and the super rich people that could afford underground bunkers. Haven't a lot of these rich people been talking about how they have bunkers and all these underground shelters? Yeah, alright. But I said all that to say, the world was ended by the higher ups. And the only people that survived were the people that can afford it and people with a specific blood type. I'm not gonna say his name, but y'all already know who this story reminds me of. His initials is EM, and he's super rich. But let me know what y'all think in the comments.
This is one of the worst.
What do you guys think, Seekers, man? If she was breaking it down, bro, thinking that those two guys had the huge tech company, all those underground bunkers, man, it was connecting. I ain't gonna lie to you, she was connecting the dots. What do you guys think?
Cases in human history. This is the murder of Christine Silouan. She was from the Philippines and was a volunteer in church, and she used the church every day from 4 to 6 p.m.
Okay.
On the day of her murder, she went to church as per her schedule, but she didn't come home after that. Her parents then started to worry, and they began searching for her with their neighbors. And what they found is absolutely horrid. They found her body in a farm where half her face was sliced like a piece of pizza, and her face was literally skinned down to her skull. Also, her brain was completely destroyed by acid. The police then started investigating, and they checked the cameras and found out that she was with a guy. The people started protesting about this case, and the case was then given to special officers. They had a lot of pressure on this. A week before this happened, she broke up with her boyfriend, so the police took him into custody. And he was proving that he was at home all day when she was murdered, but officers were completely tired of this case, and they then sentenced him as the murderer. But after a few months, a thief was caught in a store where he confessed that he murdered and raped Christine. He said he started talking to her on Facebook with a fake account and was using fake photos of another guy that was pretty good looking.
Another catfish.
Christine fell for the guy, and she assumed that he was about 20 years old, and they started texting daily. One day, they both decided to meet up at 6 p.m. near the church she went to. But upon arriving, Christine noticed that this was not the guy she was talking to, and he was around 40-ish years old. She then refused to talk to him and tried to go back, but he held her hands extremely forcefully. He then took her far away from town and raped her repeatedly and put iron rods inside her personal organs.
What the?
He then cut her face in half and then skinned her whole head down to the skull. And to make it even worse, he put acid inside of her head. The autopsy also revealed that her tongue, trachea, esophagus, parts of her neck, and her right ear were missing. The self-proclaimed killer of this case, named Renato Lanes, said that he used barber-type scissors and stabbed her 30 times on different parts of her body and skinned her face. Christine Silouan was only 16 years old, and this case is extremely haunting. There's a picture of her body that was found in the field, but Google did a really good job of not showing it and hiding it. So even if you do go looking for the picture, I don't think you're going to find it.
No.
This is one of those cases that after you get done reading it, you just feel some sort of uneasiness. I feel so bad for Christine's family, and I can't imagine finding my daughter in this state. May Christine Silouan rest in peace.
This pedophile committed a crime so disturbing that a petition was created that asked the government to publicly hang him. And the petition gathered thousands of signatures. This is 33-year-old Benjamin Taylor from West Virginia. And in 2016, he would commit one of the most sickening crimes I've ever read about. Back in 2016, Benjamin was living with his girlfriend, a woman named Amanda Adkins. At the time, Amanda had recently given birth only 9 months ago to her baby daughter, Emily. Emily was a beautiful young girl. And I want to warn you all right now, the details that we're about to discuss are some of the most disturbing I've ever covered. So in October of 2016, Benjamin had only been living with his girlfriend Amanda for about a month. And on the morning of Emily's death at around 4:30 a.m., Amanda woke up and went downstairs to search for her baby. When she went downstairs, she saw Benjamin Taylor with his pants unzipped sitting in the dark. Amanda then noticed that her 9-month-old daughter's limp body was lying nearby on a pile of sheets and laundry. Amanda screamed at Benjamin and grabbed her daughter's lifeless body, but he remained silent and stared at the ground. The details of what had just happened down there are disturbing. Local authorities would call this the worst assault that they had seen in decades.
Damn.
You see, Benjamin and Emily were covered in the infant's blood. After the child's body was examined, the authorities were able to determine that she had been assaulted by an adult male multiple times. The infant child was also bleeding extensively and had suffered head trauma.
What the?
Emily had a fractured skull and brain hemorrhaging. Authorities believe that Emily may have been shaken violently, or even thrown to the ground or slammed against a hard object. When police arrived at the scene, Benjamin Taylor was observed trying to wipe something off of his groin. That was eventually determined to be Emily's blood. He also told authorities that he remembered taking the baby to the basement, but that he blacked out after that. You see, he had been smoking and drinking the night before, and that was his excuse. Thankfully, Benjamin was convicted of all charges and sentenced to life in prison without mercy, as you can see right here. But for some people, that just wasn't enough. And like I said at the beginning of this video, a petition was created which asked the government to publicly hang Benjamin. And this petition, before it was shut down, gathered over 50,000 signatures.
50K?
I mean, this truly is one of the worst things that I've ever covered here on my TikTok. And personally, I don't think that life in prison is enough for this guy. I mean, the pain that poor Emily went through before she was eventually killed is just heartbreaking on every single level.
It is.
And I just hope and pray that the other prisoners that are in there with Benjamin find out or already have found out exactly what he did to land himself in there. If you want to hear more true crime stories, listen to the podcast Murder in America that I co-host with my wife, Courtney. It's available on all streaming platforms.
If they find out what he did, that's probably going to be for him, man, because we've been hearing stories, man. We covered it on here, man. How when other prisoners, when they find out what you did, if it ain't something they like, it's over for you. That's a dark, dark, dark case. Man. If you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, tell me down below, man, if you guys can hear the change in the audio quality, man. Like I said, it should be very much clearer. So, like I said, I'm always trying to upgrade the channel for you guys. You guys been seeing the thumbnails, man. I'm really trying to grow our community together. So, I would really appreciate the support by hitting that like button, subscribing, hitting that post notification bells, man. Also, man, tell me what I can do to make the channel better. I'm always open to criticisms, man. I'm still like a small channel growing and learning, so I gotta learn, man. And guys can catch you in the next one. I'm out. Peace, seekers.